Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's look at our development process. So in this video, we're going to start with step 1 of specifying the validation rules for the form controls. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and swing into our IDE. And let me zoom in here. So I'll move into my source directory and I'll open up the code for our checkout component. So I'll open up the code for checkout component.ts. I'll expand my window here. And what we'll do is we'll move down to our ng onInit method, and this is where we'll do our work. So primarily here on lines 35 and 37 for first name, last name, and email, we'll add those validation rules. So I'll start with first name for right now. And remember, we create a new form control. We give the initial value, and then we also specify our validators. So the initial value is just an empty string. And then we give an array of validators. So for this example, we'll have validators.required and also validators.minLength. And we'll have minLength of 2. Alrighty, so that looks pretty good. And for last name, we want to do a similar thing. So let's just go ahead and copy this code for first name, and we'll do a similar thing for last name. So just do a little copy paste here. All right, so that's good. So both first name and last name, though both of those fields are required with minimum length of 2. With email, we'll do something similar, but we'll make some slight changes here. So again, we create the new form control. And then for email, it's a required field, but we'll also make use of regular expression patterns. So I'll kind of drop this down to a separate line because I have a lot of coding here to type for the pattern item in particular. So I'll do validators.pattern, and I give the actual pattern as a string. Let me just kind of clean up some of the extra space there. And I'll put the actual pattern in quotes. And so now I actually need to put in the real pattern. So I have it here on the screen. It's a big, long string here, and this pattern is for matching on email. So I'll talk more about this pattern in a second, but for now, just go ahead and type in what I have here on the screen, and I'll give a high-level discussion of this in a second. And if you need to, feel free to pause the video now to type this text, and make sure you get it exactly right like I have here on the screen. Alrighty, so you're probably looking at this and you're wondering, oh my gosh, what is this? It looks like a totally different language. And it is. Regular expressions is a separate topic all to itself, kind of beyond the scope of this course, but I'll give you a quick overview as far as how this pattern is used in our example. So we're using this pattern to match on valid email address formats. So for example, anil.public@gmail.com. So looking at the pattern here, and I'll kind of break it down at a very high level. The first section here says, hey, match on any combination of letters and digits with an optional period. So we can have like anil.public. Then we have the @ symbol, okay, kind of separating that email address portion. And then the next section here says match on any combination of letters and digits with a period. So gmail dot or yahoo dot or whatever. And then for the domain extension, basically says we can have 2 to 4 letters, A to Z, and that'll be the actual extension. And that'll kind of give us the basics here of matching on like anil.public@gmail.com. Now, regarding the domain extension, I know there are other high-level domain extensions that are longer than 4 characters. So feel free to adjust this regular expression as needed if you need a much longer extension there for your example. But this will cover the basics for the actual domain extensions, and also cover the basics here for email addresses. So this is a very common regular expression pattern that you'll find for matching on email addresses. And even if you do a Google search, you'll find this very pattern exactly like this, or a very similar pattern. Now, you're probably wondering, gosh, I'd like to get more details on all this regular expression stuff. So there's a free tutorial available online at regextutorials.com. They kind of walk you through the steps. They talk about all the special characters here, like the caret, the square brackets, the backslash, and so on. And nice interactive examples to kind of help get you up to speed with regex. And also there's some really good tutorials online at YouTube if you need to go and get more details on this. But for now, we'll kind of take this as is, and then we'll use this given regex pattern for matching on email address formats.